Hey everyone, we are live. Really excited for this live stream. Thank you for
Me
everyone
too.
who's joining. So here I am joined by the lovely Miriam in China and Alex from the channel Alex Absolute. Yay! So happy to have you guys here.
I'm really happy
So
to be
happy to
here
be here.
too.
How
So
are you
exciting.
guys?
I'm good.
Miriam, you go
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
I'm
Miriam.
really good.
Fantastic.
It's been a very warm day. I've been
Oh,
spending it outside in my greenhouse,
yeah.
which makes it even warmer. But apart from that, it's a good day.
What are you growing in your
Anytime,
greenhouse?
anytime. Yeah.
We are just growing a lot. Tomatoes and cucumbers are the things I'm most excited about now, and just a lot of beans and some
Amazing.
pumpkins and some um, squash and just a lot of different things. So it's very
Awesome.
exciting.
That sounds fun. How about you, Alex? What's happening in
Nice.
your life?
I've literally just got back from work. I finished work at 6:30, so I just caught a Didi. I live about, I guess, 15 kilometers from where I live.
Yeah.
So I just rushed back home, quickly ate
Yeah.
something, a couple of glasses of baijiu because it's a Sunday night, and finished now for the next 8 days. And came in here. It's super super hot. So if I look
Yeah.
like I've been through the works, it's probably because I have.
Yeah.
Like AC's working. I don't know if you can hear
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
life is good. I finished now for 8 days, and I fly to Chongqing tomorrow evening.
Oh, fabulous.
So exciting. And how are you, Amy?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I
but
had
sorry,
a lovely
how rude.
Sunday.
How are you?
Oh no, you guys are the stars of this show. I'm good. I had a really lovely Sunday. I went and had byung byung noodles with some friends for lunch,
Oh,
and then I
nice.
went and had a weekly tea tasting session. It's becoming a bit of a tradition here, so that was really nice as well. So basically, a day full with friends and a lot of Chinese things. Like I love Chinese food, Chinese tea. Trying to speak as much Chinese as possible. I feel like my Chinese is going downhill, so doing my best to practice that. But yeah, really nice day, and in general, I'm going very well. I'm very excited to chat with you guys
What time is
today.
it in Australia now?
It is currently 10 p.m., 2 past 10.
Oh, so it's not that
Oh.
much different from here then. Not much different from here.
No,
No,
2
no,
hours.
it's
That's,
pretty cool.
I always thought
Yeah,
you'd be
it's-
like 12 hours different, but like behind us, like you'd
No,
like just getting up for breakfast.
when it comes to Europe and America, then we've got like a bit of a time difference there. But
Yeah.
with China, it's great. So when I was living in China, I'd always be able to call my parents and my friends, and they'd always be up unless I was calling them, 10 p.m. at night. In China, it would be pretty late. But yeah, it's very convenient time difference. But yeah. Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
a perk of the of the location. But yeah, Australia. Cool.
I actually watched one of your videos recently.
Oh yeah.
The interview you did with Straya guy, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That was
He
one of your
came.
meetups, right? Have you been doing meetups in Sydney there?
I was. So I held 3 meetups and they were getting progressively bigger, which was great. But then things started escalating a bit when it came to the COVID situation in Sydney. Not out of control, but I thought, having meetups where you've got 30 to 40 people chatting with each other, mixing around, talking to everyone, and then going out and eating afterwards is probably not the safest thing to be doing. Before, Sydney was going really well and there were 0 cases of community transmission, but now it's like getting a little bit more serious, so we've stopped that, but we'll be starting it again as soon as things get back to normal again. It was so much fun because usually I'm traveling all the time and I have friends, but they're all in different places around the world, and it's been really nice kind of being in one spot for a couple of months and actually starting to make a community. And I want to keep growing it and bringing together Australians and Chinese people and people making new friendships. And it makes me feel really happy. Yeah, people making friends.
The community
like,
part's some of the.
Oh, sorry.
I think the community part's one of the best parts of YouTube. Like when you have subscribers and people that constantly. Well, I've got a couple of subscribers. A guy John S. a couple of other guys. Shenzhou, I can see him in the live chat, my comment section of here. But there's a couple of people, and like when you start seeing people comment all the time, it's quite nice, because then even though you've never actually met them, I've even got some that are from Wenzhou now, and there were 2 people that were like, "Hey, let's meet up sometime." So maybe I can have like a 3 people meet up soon.
You should like put it out there, and then, you know, you never know who's gonna come. And yeah, for me, YouTube has been great. I've made such lovely friendships with both YouTubers and subscribers. Some of my bestest friends now are subscribers. So it's really nice. It's a perk of the job, I guess I could call it a job. Doesn't feel like a job, but yeah. But yeah,
sure.
Today, our topic is going to be about what it's like living in a Chinese city compared to what it's like living in a Chinese village. Because if you aren't aware with who I'm sitting with right now, I'm currently sitting with someone living in a Chinese city and someone living in a Chinese village. So, Miriam, can you share with everyone at home where you're currently based?
So I'm living in Qinghai province. It's a very large province in China in the northwest. We live in a small village. It's my husband's hometown, and it's about 5,000 people living here, but it's kind of spread out. It doesn't feel very big, but it's also not like tiny village in the middle of nowhere. It's about 40 minutes drive to the nearest city. So it's also not, it's really not in the middle of nowhere. Some people think that, but it's convenient, but still rural. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So you're from a village, you're living in a village. And Alex, where are you currently based at the moment?
I currently live in Wenzhou, which is in China terms, they call it a small city, which for me is kind of mind-blowing, because it's got 9.6 million people, and including the counties, it's like 4,000 square meters. And then people are like, "Oh, but yeah, but it's a small city." And I'm like, you realize one of our biggest cities in England, London, is like 8.6 million people, and it covers like 400 square miles. So it's like it's like a tenth of the size. There's a million less people. And it doesn't feel so bad when you go out to the countryside. Like I love like, and when you say city, also I live on the edge of the city. I purposely, when I bought a house here, I bought it right on the edge of the city, so I can go like out the back of my house and we're right into the city, and then I can go the other side of the house and just go completely into the wetlands, which is like this huge area of like just water and just peace, calm, and tranquility. So
that's really nice. It's good to have that.
Amazing. I'd love to go there.
Usually when I'm in China,
are welcome anytime.
Oh, amazing! I would love to go. I've actually never been to Wenzhou before, so I don't really know too much about it.
Yeah, we should organize a real meetup. Like we can do live stream.
You might be waiting a while. You just might be waiting a while. I don't know when I'm going to be able to leave my country. At the moment, we're not allowed to leave, and I'm just like, I want to go somewhere. But I completely vibe with what you were just saying, Alex. It's because usually when I'm in China, it's all very busy and loud, especially if I'm in a city, and it's so nice having a little bit of that nature escape and having, you know, a bit of quiet amongst the loud chaos, busyness. But I guess on the other hand, Miriam, do you find you go a little bit crazy when all the time it's a little bit quiet and all the time you're surrounded by kind of tranquility and nature? Like, do you crave some city, or are you happy with how it's going?
I think because sometimes we need to go into the city, sometimes to meet other people or to do errands or whatever. So we do get maybe at least twice a month, sometimes even like once a week, we're going to the city. So I'm never away from the city far enough, like long enough to crave it.
Oh, that's great. The best of both worlds. How long, where is your closest city, and how long does it take to get there?
I don't know how far it is, but it takes about 40 minutes, 30 minutes. Depends a little bit on the traffic in a car. Perfect. So it's pretty close, and it's Xining. And also another city called Dachau, but we usually go to Xining. Xining is a little bigger and has a little more to offer. So usually
is that the capital of Qinghai province?
Yeah, it is.
It's great.
Okay. I always kind of imagined you being like the foreign equivalent of Li Ziqi.
Yes,
that's such a compliment.
Because your videos are very kind of similar. You have like these lovely like Like I've watched a few recently where you've had the nice B-roll shots of like, you know, looking through some vegetables, kind of like some panning shots, and then you're over, like the camera's here and you're over there doing something. It's very similar. I think it's kind of calming.
That's a really nice compliment,
nice.
I think.
Yeah,
That's what I
nice.
tell my
It's
friends about you.
Yeah, it's nice. Like I said to you, like I said, I was saying to you guys privately when I saw the live stream that you guys did before, and the sign was in the background, and I just like not long watched the video where your husband carved the sign, and we watched him do the whole process from start to finish, and I was like, oh, I almost felt starstruck just for the sign.
That's so sweet.
It's nice because you start recognizing things that you've seen in the videos, and then you see elsewhere as well. I don't know, maybe that's me just being kind of weird. I get kind of it's nice to it's nice when you follow channels and you can see stuff and it kind of all starts to fit into like not a story but like
like a love story. I see what you mean, because I see that with Lisa too, like when she makes clothes and things, and then like a couple of videos later she's wearing them doing something else, and I see what you mean. I can see some
very
different levels.
It's good. I guess,
love it.
I guess she has a lot of backing though, right?
Yeah.
I think she's got a lot of backing.
I think my internet is
I think she has now, but
bit.
I think in the beginning she didn't. So she's pretty cool.
Sorry guys, I think my internet is like a few seconds behind, so I think I have like a slight lag, so I think I completely cut you off just for a second there. But yes, I completely agree. But I tell all my friends that your videos really remind me of Lisa T, and you're like the Western version of Lisa T. So everyone go and follow Miriam China. Everyone go and follow Alex Absolute. Great channels, great resources to teach you more about China. So do that right now before you forget. So today we're going to be talking about the topic of living in a village versus living in a city. So I have some pre-prepared kind of prompts here. So first, I just wanted to get into the topic of what it's like in terms of convenience between a city and a village. Is there anything you'd like to say about like, what it's like? How's convenience living in a village? Have you got access to things like Didi or what else is there? Why am I? How do you get your takeout in a village in China?
So we don't have Didis. We don't have Waimai, and we don't have. I know we talked to Alex before about the running man, like the kind of people who do little errands for you. We don't have that either.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like a Didi is not really necessary. They have another solution. So we have a crossroads in the village, like or outside the village, just close to the big road that goes into the city. So if you need to go into the city, you just go down to the road and you stand by the road. You can take a bus if you want, and you can just wait down a car. And cars usually stop, and then you just pay like 10 RMB, and they take you into the city. So that's how we go into the city every time. We just take a car on the road. So that's kind of convenient. But Waimai, we don't have. Nothing delivers here.
What about Kuaidis? Like, if you have a package being delivered, how does that get to you? Is that
just an arrive at the door? I mean, in the city they arrive at the door, but here there's another crossroads where there comes a car and the car stops there and stands for a couple of hours. So they'll call you and tell you that there's a delivery, and you just go pick it up. So it's not very far, maybe 5 minutes walk. So it's also convenient. It's much more convenient than a city in Sweden, to be honest. The delivery system. So I'm very satisfied. With that.
Yeah, I found that in China everything was super convenient, like with the apps and stuff like that. Everything can be delivered to you or can come to you and just make everything kind of a bit more smooth. But I was super curious to hear about how that would work in a village, but interesting to hear that it's still like very convenient. Still do the things you want to do and get the things that you need. Alex, like you're living in the city right now. Can you contrast your experience when it comes to like convenience?
It's almost too convenient to the point where there's a lot of stories about it here where people like when you buy stuff, or you can go online and you can use like Alipay, or you can use Ele.me or any of these super convenient apps. They have like a comment section. So there's been like spates of people that have been like, you know, like they're stuck they're in a public toilet and they've run out of toilet paper, so
Yeah.
they've bought something like innocuous, like a milk tea, got it delivered, and then just said, like, written in the notes, please can you buy some toilet paper and bring it to here and like pop it underneath. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh,
There's
wow.
all sorts of things that people like will
That's
buy,
hilarious.
just like a milk tea, and then tip that, you know, that they include like a generous tip for the guy that's
Wow.
gone and done it all. So it's quite convenient. Then we have the Running Man, like Miriam just mentioned. The Running Man's amazing.
What
It's
is
like
the Running Man?
Didi
I'm not
Dash.
too familiar with what it is.
The Running Man is basically, it's operated exactly the same as Didi Dash. Like, you know, your average Joe on the street can sign up for it and then do it. And instead of being like, you know, driving someone somewhere, it can be, you know, like, go to this location, someone will give you this, and then you take it to another location and then drop it off. And they have like a password. So when someone drops something off from the Running Man, they ask you for the password, and then you give them like a 4-digit password, and it's all good. We've had all sorts of stuff like that. We once, some friends of mine here, my wife's friend was looking to rehome her dog, but she wanted it to be someone nice. So
Yeah.
I had a friend that was going to take the dog. She was in Hangzhou, which is like, I guess, a few hours if you drove, a few hours on the train. A lot more if you drove, but on the train, it's, I guess, 3 hours. It's not so far from it's closer to Shanghai than it is here. And she put the dog and everything she had for the dog in a Didi and just sent it to us. So we just, it was the strangest thing ever. This car pulled up.
Wow.
The guy just pulled up. We opened the door, took the dog and the stuff. He never even spoke to us, and he kind of left. I mean, he didn't even look phased by doing that. In England, that would be like a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah. Wow.
It's convenience on the overdrive. Like, I literally now, I don't have to, like, because my house, I just need my finger to operate all the doors and stuff. And then the complex where you get in, because we have these big high fences, and to get in, you just scan your face. So you don't need to have keys.
Yeah.
And then to pay for stuff, you don't need cash anymore, because you just use your phone for Alipay and WeChat. So like the olden days I say the olden days, you know, black and white stuff, but you know, where you'd go out and you'd like check for your keys, your phone and your wallet. Now you just check for your phone and that's it, you go. I've been back to England twice in the last 7 years, and I just found it so inconvenient, it's unreal.
Yeah, I think that
you know,
notice
free
it
Wi-Fi everywhere.
even more when you go back. I think.
Yeah.
Because everything is so slow. Like, even compared to village life, I think Swedish city life can be pretty slow and inconvenient. So I think that's just
the only thing that's faster usually is the internet. The internet's not so fast here. I mean, it's not bad.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's not,
Interesting.
Like,
Everything. I would say that it's way faster than here. Sorry.
Oh, really? In England, the internet seems to be faster. Here, it was slightly disappointing. I think it's been okay.
I agree, but
not...
maybe because I'm in rural China. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my internet here is definitely slower.
Yeah, mine goes through like good periods and bad periods. Like today, it seems to be kind of bad, but you know, some days it'll be great, and I'll be uploading at the speed of light. So apologies to anyone watching from home that may be seeing a bit of a grainy image on my end, but yeah, very convenient.
Yeah.
Both in city and city and village. Coming back to Australia, actually, one of the things I notice is just like it's convenient, but you know, not on the scale it is in China. I think like apps have a bit of catching up to do. Like everything is on the apps in China. It's, you know, there's an app for everything. And I feel like, could be some improvement in Australia, but kind of takes me to my next topic. What's it like? What's the eating situation like in a village? Are you going out to restaurants? You don't have takeaway. So are you growing your own food? Like, are you cooking for yourself? What's the situation in terms of eating?
We have takeaway if you go to the restaurant and take it by yourself. We don't have but we do have maybe 4 restaurants or something in the village. I'm not really sure, or maybe. they are very similar. It's like noodles and mian pian and liang qi. So I think it's those three restaurants
Yeah.
actually. It's not like I'm a vegetarian too, and it's not a lot of variety. We go there maybe like not even once a month, I think. So like
Yeah.
99% we cook at home. And we,
Nice.
my parents-in-law are farmers, grew up as farmers, my husband as well. So we have like when we cook, all the wheat, all the rapeseed oil is our own. And during summer, a lot of our vegetables are our own. Like now when it's the middle of summer, we don't really buy any vegetables apart from like garlic and maybe chili. So it's very healthy, I would say, the eating situation here. Healthy, and you know where everything comes from, which is quite amazing. And I can mention too something that might be a little different to the cities, like here, because there are not a lot of vegetable shops. Like there are no supermarkets in the village, so there are often little cars or little trucks driving around with a little speaker saying, "Oh, buy eggs, buy this and buy that," and then you just go out and catch the car and buy something from the guy who drives it. So it's a little different. I think that's a very charming aspect of village life.
That's cute. Yeah, that's so different. Super interesting. So I guess your husband is a super awesome cook. So who's doing most of the cooking in your house?
I think it kind of goes in waves. This past week, I've been doing almost all the cooking, and then sometimes he will do almost all the cooking. We don't live with my parents-in-law now, but when we did, I was cooking a lot with his mother. It was usually the two of us cooking. And I learned so much from her, which was amazing. But now,
I'm trying to learn more dishes as well.
Oh yes, nice. That it's just amazing. I love it.
It's not amazing. I think you have to eat it before you call it amazing. I'm just thank you. I'm trying to get some more cooking practice now that I'm here and I have a kitchen and access to a lot of Chinese supermarkets, and I've been cooking up a storm. So loving that here. But Alex, what about yourself? What's the restaurant eating food situation like with you and Wenzhou?
It's kind of changed my a lot of things have changed for me since coming to China, because for me the whole way, like from when I was, not when I was born, obviously you don't cook when you're born, but from as young as I can remember, I've always cooked with my mum, my dad, like all through growing up, even through like high school, like even from a really young age, you'd have cookery classes. So I'd cook with my mum and pre-prepare stuff and practice stuff that I was going to do for school. When like we'd have this thing where we'd have like almost like a rota, like not really a rota, but like I guess like a pattern where my mum or my dad and my sister, because I have a younger sister who's 4 years younger than me, also moved to China. She lives in Shanghai now.
Wow.
Used to live in Wenzhou, but she was a real teacher in England, and I said you should come out here. It's much better. So the year after she came out. But I digress. Anyway, so what we used to do is we'd always take turns. Like there'd be one person who'd do the cooking, somebody who'd do washing up, somebody who'd do everybody had like a different role. So I've cooked a lot and I'm used to cooking a lot. I like cooking. And then since coming here, I don't really cook at all because I have a super busy life. I'm studying a degree in graphic design while working full-time and having 2 children and trying to make videos for YouTube. So I do eat out kind of a lot, but I have a couple of friends who have restaurants right where I work. So I trying to eat healthy. It's kind of hard when you work in like a busy built-up shopping area, trying to find super healthy places that have a lot of variety so you don't get stuck into the same kind of niche or the same kind, not niche, I guess, eating the same thing every day. I'll go through periods where I eat like one thing, like chicken pesto basil pasta or something, and I'll eat it every day for like a month, and then I'll be like, I'm fed up with this and I'll change. But then I do eat a lot at home because we have my wife's parents who retired and then started working for me and my wife. They basically come and do a lot of help with the children and cooking. They cook sort of like because I work very strange hours. I work weekends, like all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Monday and Tuesday I have days off, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I start at 5 in the afternoon till 9 at night.
Oh wow!
So random.
My father-in-law will cook us like, the classic egg and tomato noodles lunchtimes. He'll do all sorts of he's pretty good at cooking. He does a sterling effort. He goes to all the markets, all the lovely wet markets, which are fantastic because the produce there is really cool. It's nice to wander around these places. And then we end up having to employ an IE to help us out. So she comes every day for like 4 hours in the afternoon, and she does a lot of cleaning, and then she cooks the dinner so that it takes the pressure off everybody, because there's basically 4 adults and 2 children, and it's super busy. So I would love to be cooking myself more, because I've grown up in the countryside and not city, and I've always grown up cooking, and now I kind of don't do both of those. So
well, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, Alex. Like, I have no idea how you're able to do it. Like, 2 kids, full-time job, doing YouTube as well. Like, that's a handful. And kind of brings me into my next topic. You guys both have kids. Alex, you have 2 kids, and Miriam, you have 1 kid. What's it like raising kids? Well, because I guess both of you have grown up in either Sweden or the UK. You know, it's a different kind of environment in itself. But how has it been raising children in China in general?
Miriam, you want to go first?
I feel like you have a little bit more experience as your child is older, your oldest child.
Okay. Like for me, I'm quite jealous of Miriam, because as I've grown up, maybe you can bring up some pictures. You can see some of, like, I guess you can just choose. You can see which ones are China, which ones are here. I've always grown up in the countryside. Where I grew up was like a village. It was very rural. There was either farmers or like these like old kind of classic houses. And so we had fields for days and days, and we'd always go out and do things. I spent most of my childhood never at the actual house, like climbing trees, making dens, getting into trouble. That's in South Africa.
Sorry, what's this one?
This one's in China. This is this one is Boulders Beach, because I have a lot of my mum's side of the family from South Africa. So this is on my honeymoon, and we went to I took my wife back to South Africa to where my uncle and aunt are, and Boulders Beach is a fantastic beach it's in Cape Town. It's on the very most southern point in a place called Cape Point, and you can wander around on the beach in amongst the penguins. Just don't touch them. They will peck.
That's so cute. But sorry, I think this was the photo you were talking about in terms of like
this
where
is in
you
the
grew
village
up.
not far from my house. There's another one of just one house. I don't know if you can find that one. There's a singular house. This is the house where I spent, I guess, most of my life growing up. Yes, this one. This is where I spent most of my life growing up, and like we have neighbors, like I guess 50 meters either side, but it's in a very rural area of, I guess, 500-600 houses, and just a lot of fields, a lot of rivers, a lot of like I to get to the nearest bar or pub in a small village still I'd have to walk for about 50 minutes, I guess.
Wow.
But I grew up in the countryside, and as a result, I think a massive part of being a child for me is just getting to go out and play and just adventure. And that's why when I bought the house we're in now, I didn't want to be right smack bang in the center of the city, because you just can't get that kind of adventuring. You can't get that kind of stuff. And at least it's not going to be quite the same as where I grew up, but we've got that. And like I go out and I take my son out I put a child seat on the back of the bike, and we go out riding and finding cows and all sorts of stuff. We go out, my friend has a boat, so we go out on the boat and go exploring. So nice. And I'm trying to, I love the city for the convenience, but for being a child, I think the countryside is just an amazing place. It's just somewhere where you can go and you can have a lot of fun in a much more relatively safe environment than in the center of a big city where cars might knock you down. So I kind of would love to just do something like Miriam and just move like out of the city.
That would, yeah.
Do it.
It looks really. I don't know what it's actually like for you behind the lens, but every time I watch your videos, Miriam, it feels so idyllic. I'm like, I just want to go and live in Qinghai and have a kid and live on this beautiful property.
Yeah.
How is it actually like
I mean,
having a kid in that environment?
I mean, I must say, like my videos, I obviously show what I like. I mean, I
Yeah.
have bad days too. I just don't feel very inspired to film.
Well, of
And
course.
it's doing those. So, I mean, raising a child is amazing. And then, of course, there are difficulties as well. I think, like Alex said, just the fact that we can let him out in the garden and play. And like, even if he's outside, like our neighbors, we have a little area. There are a lot of tiny little areas where neighbors kind of just sit down, and then they often bring their grandkids, because a lot of the time it's the grandparents caring for the child, and the kids just kind of play around. It's just next to the street, but it's not really dangerous because the cars will drive slowly and it's not a lot of cars. So someone will often be out there too, playing with other kids. And so yeah, like Alex said, it's kind of free, kind of safer in a sense.
Yeah.
But then on the countryside, there will also be, piles of garbage and piles of bricks and
Snakes.
rusty. Yeah, I guess we haven't seen any snakes. Yet, but,
We
rats.
have here actually. We have cobras.
Oh wow,
Oh?
that's just scary.
Yeah. One of my colleagues went out the other week, and I try to think where on my social media you can see it, but there was cobras in the park just messing around by the side of these stairs.
That's
I actually
scary.
found one going across the road. If you look back on one of my cycling videos, you'd have to go back quite far. And there's a part where I followed this black snake across the road with a GoPro. And then it suddenly puffed its neck out and stood up like a cobra. And I'm like, oh. And just like, bail.
People say
run
Australia
away.
is terrifying. Like, I can't remember when I've ever
pretty much
seen a
everything there
snake.
kills you, right?
I mean, I've never seen
Well-
a dangerous snake. In Sweden, we have snakes, but they're not dangerous. So
I've never seen a snake, I don't think, unless
Oh,
it was like
really?
someone's pet. No, it's not like something that I see.
wow.
If you're living in an Australian city, you can be rest assured you're going to be
yeah.
very, very safe. Like, yes, we do have extremely dangerous spiders and snakes and, jellyfish and sharks and stuff like that. But you're not going to see that in your day-to-day life. The only way you're going to like die from a spider bite or a snake bite is if you really get yourself lost in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the bush, which you wouldn't go and do. So yeah, don't be scared of Australia. Where it's okay here.
I've learned everything about Australia from Aussie Man comments.
What's that?
You don't know Aussie Man comments? Oh
No.
my! We're gonna after the show. I'm gonna have to send you some links. Google
Please
it.
do.
He's a YouTube guy, an Aussie
Okay.
guy that just commentates on anything. But it's like very Aussie. You're right, mate. I don't know. I terrible Australian accent, but yeah,
You actually did quite well.
it's hilarious. Oh really?
Amazing.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. It was quite good. It's hard to do the Australian accent. But yeah.
we have a chain of pubs in England that's called Walkabout Bar, and I used to be that guy that would always be in there when I was drunk and be like, "Hey, I'll have a pint of 4X, please, mate."
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Cringe.
form. Yeah. Us Australians, well, most Australians like their beer and going to the pub and stuff like that. So you would fit in very well here, Alex.
Yeah, if we can bri all the time, I'm good. I love a good bri.
So going back to the topic of kids, from beer to kids, Alex, I heard that in China, in bigger cities, when you have kids, it's really convenient because all the malls, there's like a floor, usually like the 4th or the 5th floor, it's dedicated completely to kids. And there's all these kind of different activities going on there and play groups and paint classes. Have you ever taken advantage of that, or do you know any more about it?
The malls, yeah, they've usually got. There's one that's not far from here. I have one of those e-boards.
Oh, cool!
So I know. Thank you to YouTube. So a company in Shenzhen was like, call in our offices. We'll just send you one. You can review it for us on the channel. Great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It does 43 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
Which is kind of insane. Yeah, go figure. But I can e-board across to a big mall, which I think every single Chinese city has. It's called Mixed Sea, Wanshangcheng, which means 10,000 elephants or something. But anyway, it's not very far from here, and they have like a lot of children kind of facilities. So it's like every floor has the room, you know, with like the breastfeeding part, the baby changing part. It's all kind of well catered for, and there's loads of amazing children's play areas, soft play areas. Like we have them in England, but they're not on the level that they have them on here. Like they're kind of fun, and when you're a parent, it's the best thing ever because you're just accompanying your child, but essentially you're just having fun, and nobody can judge you.
Yeah, like I don't know about you in the UK or you in Sweden, Miriam, but we definitely don't have. That's one of the things I found fascinating is there's all these facilities for kids in the malls, like an entire floor dedicated to kids and kids playing around. Like, is there anything like that in the UK or in Sweden?
In Sweden, definitely not.
I wouldn't say an entire floor, but there is places that are like, I guess you get things like in England we have this place called Jump. And they have like a warehouse, and it's like a soft play area. It's like they're pretty sizable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think not to the same extent, but I would guess like one reason is because the Chinese cities are larger. There are more kids in the cities, and then I think like you said, a lot of it is after school classes. And in Sweden, kids don't really go to that many after school classes, not to the same extent as in China.
Yeah.
I feel like in China, a lot of kids in the cities, they have just, school, and then after school they have English classes and dance classes and art classes and all these kind of things. And they all kind of collected in the same place, kind of like in China as well. You have all the restaurants on the same street, or all the mobile phone stores in the same street.
I think that's the thing. Like here in Australia, we do have like facilities for kids, fun play areas, but I think the difference is in China, it's all together in the one area. So it's
when you have kids, that is very convenient.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be. Yeah. How about education? How is it in terms of bringing up a kid and education in China? Do you know? Like, I guess compare a village to a big city. Is there going to be a difference in how your kid is educated?
Now I have never had a kid in school yet. My son is only a year and a half. But in my experience, like the people I talk to, there are a lot of options in the city. Like in our village, we have one school, we have one kindergarten, and that's it. And if you have like good contacts or a little bit more money, or a kid that is very good in school, then you can go to like a bigger town, like school in a bigger town in the city. But most kids go to the school here, and that's only one option. But in the city, you have a lot of different type of schools. You have international schools, and you have Chinese schools, like public schools. But even within the schools, you have like different, kind of Montessori schools, or focusing on like dual language learning, and more options, I think.
Interesting.
And usually,
in the city here we do have a lot
higher in the city.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, in the city we have a whole array of different things. Not Shanghai. If Shanghai or like Beijing or one of the really big international cities would be where you would want to go for like a super, super international thing. We have some international schools here, but I would never really I wouldn't pay. A, they're ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
B, a lot of the stuff which is international it's not so international. Like I went to take my son to a trial day at a really expensive kindergarten. It's a famous one from Hong Kong, and if you want to roughly guess the prices, it's 50,000 per semester, and there's 2 semesters a year, so it's like 100K in English. That's like 11,000, and it looks dope. It had like
for a kindergarten.
The last half, for a kindergarten, international
I
kindergarten.
didn't even pay that for university here in Australia.
But a lot of its selling point of it is that they have foreign teachers. But when I took my son there, the foreign teacher was from Thailand, and she basically spoke, I guess, the Thai equivalent of Chinglish, and she just ripped off classes from Gymboree. So I was like, nah, no, I'm not paying that money. Also, my wife works for the government, so we can get the half price at public kindergarten. So that works out about 2,000 per semester. So it's about 4K a year.
I have a question about that. I heard, I'm getting my sources from along the grapevine with other university students. I don't know in person anyone who is having kids in China right now in my immediate circle. But I heard that kids who have come from a Western family aren't allowed to attend like a Chinese school, like an all Chinese school. Is there any truth to that, or is that just something I've heard?
No, not at all. Can I just address some people in the comments?
Yes,
on my
please
comments
do.
at the same time. To Stephen C, he said, Alex and Miriam, Chinese mother-in-laws are notoriously overbearing and difficult. How did you find yours? I don't know about you, Miriam, but for me, mine are fantastic. My wife's parents are amazing. I don't know how we would survive without them. They do so much. They're so nice. They're always, that they will suggest what they think is to be done, and they kind of like, they have their own ideas, but it's us, and they kind of help us. They're amazing, and nothing like any of the rumors that people say about mother-in-laws. And also thank you to Michael Liberate. He said he sees snakes all the time. He lives in Sydney, Hornsby, Sydney. I don't know if you know that, Amy.
I do know Hornsby.
Okay, so he lives in there. Thank you for the super chat, Michael. It's that was pretty cool. And but how did you find your in-laws, Miriam?
Amazing. I have a very my relationship with my father-in-law is not we don't talk a lot because he doesn't speak Mandarin. So we have a lot of communication issues. But my mother-in-law speaks very good Mandarin, so we talk a lot and have a very close relationship. She's amazing. And of course, there are differences in culture and I guess age difference also matters, because her thoughts and my husband's thoughts are also very different. But in general, she's just amazing. And it would be very difficult to do what we do without her.
Yeah, she helps
us a lot.
I actually have a subtopic here about culture. Can you walk us through a little bit about what your village life and local village culture is like, and how that plays out maybe in the family atmosphere?
Can we define a little bit culture?
So it is a very big topic. So I guess that is a very big topic. Okay.
Do you mean more kind of traditional, holidays and things like that as well?
Yeah.
Because I think
how are people in general, how are people's views different to maybe what you experience in the city? How do people are there differences in how people think or how people go about their daily life? Or
I think in general, now I'm just speaking in general terms, because of course it differs from person to person. But I think in the villages in China generally are more traditional. They're more traditional thinking in more traditional ways, and you can see it in the way they celebrate holidays, and they celebrate weddings, I think, and funerals. A funeral here is often not a celebration. What do you say? But kind of almost like a celebration,
almost like a celebration, like a send-off, I guess.
Yeah, but people are together, the whole family and extended family. It's just a big event, and it can go on for over a week. Wow. People just get together and they cry together and they eat together and they go out and parade in the streets with music and all of that. And in the city, that's usually not possible because people are busy. People are not farmers. They can't just not go to work for a week or 2 weeks. So generally in cities, weddings and funerals are shorter, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of what happens here, because we've had 2 deaths in my wife's family, the older kind of generation, but they and you see it a lot. They do this. What they do here in Wenzhou at least is when someone dies, from the time they die until the time they are cremated, they just have a non-stop party, or they like to call it looks good to be busy. So they will have all of the family members around playing mahjong, playing cards, drinking, listening to music. And it's not, like you said, because everybody's busy and they have jobs. It's not all the same people, but everybody will rotate in and out. So it's still like I had a friend here he's gone back to America. If he's watching this, Patrick, hello. He got super angry because the house behind him had one of these things, and it went on for a week, and it was like a week of just week-long partying, which involved with him finally cracking after a night of drinking, and he just joined in with the parade at the end of it, because they have this big parade where everybody dresses in white, and they kind of they I think here, I don't know about everywhere else, but here it's quite popular to employ people to be professional mourners, and they kind of cry and make a wailing and like make a big fuss behind the car as it's got the body in it going down, and people are all wearing white, and at some point they take all the white clothes off and they burn them, and sometimes that's like an intersection in the city. It's not usually well thought out. It can be quite hectic with some of the weddings here, and they let off fireworks like everywhere. I love fireworks, but they let fireworks off everywhere.
Yeah. Wow, that is absolutely fascinating. I didn't know that happened. Yeah.
The funerals, I've been to one, like one in the family, and it was such an experience, so different from the West. We would just have, 2 hours in the church, and that's it.
I guess you can really see that cultural change when it comes to festivals or weddings and funerals. I went to my first wedding in China last year, and it was so different to what weddings are like here in Australia. I was just blown away, and it was so much fun. I think when I get married one day, I want to include some of those fun elements that happen in China. It was such an experience. Miriam, did you get married in China? And Alex, same question for you.
We got married. We had our wedding in 2018.
Yeah. What was it like? Did you have a traditional Chinese wedding?
Yes and no. Like for me, it felt very traditional Chinese, but there were a few things that we didn't do, and like a few rules that we didn't follow. I think it was also kind of some things we couldn't do because I was a Westerner. Like they can't pick me up at my house because that would be too far away, and like pick me up at my parents' house. But generally it felt very traditional. I will make a video about it at some point.
Yeah, no, that would be really fascinating to see. What about you, Alex? Did you have your wedding in China?
I just had the one wedding in China because it was too expensive. Like it kind of varies from city to city. I had a friend here who got married in Anhui, and it was like 70K all in. Like a Wenzhou wedding Wenzhou's very affluent city, I guess. So there's a lot of showy stuff, and like thankfully we got rid of a bunch of stuff that was just like overly showy, because I was like, I'm not paying money just to show off. But it was still 1.6 million or something ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had go figure that, and that's not even an average one, because we had about 400 people, so we had 40 tables of 10, and I went to a friend's wedding here, and there was 100 tables, and
my gosh, that is so big.
There's a lot of stuff, like you have, Malta. Malta is the national alcohol. You have to have 2 or 3 bottles of that per table. So if you do 40 times 3, and then it's a lot of money. There was some really cool stuff. The traditional stuff was really cool, like the whole process throughout the day. It was interesting to see the culture.
Was it one day?
Everything kind of collided.
For you, the wedding?
One day. But because we had the what's it called? Some really fancy name. The presidential suite at the Shangri-La. Because it was so much money. I think it was 18K. They said you can have it for 2 days, so we enjoyed it the next day. So it was kind of, I'd say, one whole day, and then we had a day of just enjoying this cool suite. But it was good fun, because it was from the whole morning. Like we did the whole morning, and we had it makes you feel super great, because I had like a team of 7 or 8 videographers and like 7 or 8 photographers.
Wow.
And then my wife had the same, and they kind of follow you around. And it's pretty cool, like, because I had 9 best men, because that's the standard here in Wenzhou. So then my wife had 9 bridesmaids, and there was all these games. And it's kind of where you see the interesting things of the 2 cultures meeting, because my wife's friends were really impressed, because they were like, your friends didn't fuss, they didn't argue, they didn't get angry about anything, they just did all the games. Because it was like, you know, like brush your teeth with wasabi, and like trying to write Chinese characters that are ridiculously hard, or trying to find shoes. And I was like, my friends do this without even being drunk. Like, if you see the drinking games and stuff that go on, like this stuff's just, it was fun. And like other people apparently seem to find this a little bit like, I don't know. So a lot of my wife's friends argued about, like, the best men argued about the games being too embarrassing or whatever. So,
I guess when you come from like,
cultures,
like if I was to be in that environment, I would just be kind of lapping it all up and just getting amongst all the fun, because it's just so different from what we would be used to. But I guess when it is your culture and you're used to it, and you know, you're surrounded by all your friends and family, I guess I don't think I'd be inclined to argue if it was not my culture and I'm coming in as a guest. I'd just do anything anyone asked me to do. So I think I can understand that. But it's so different.
Thanks to shout out to Alex from Reportify Media. Not only has he organized the whole of the Chongqing thing that we're doing at the minute, he's just sent me a super chat. So hi, Alex.
Very nice. Thanks, Alex.
But yeah,
Awesome.
it's definitely interesting with a wedding here, because I think if I wouldn't have enjoyed an English wedding as much as I enjoyed the wedding here. And I guess it's not per se saying English weddings are boring. It's just because if you come from one culture and you see another culture, it suddenly makes it a lot more interesting. Because it was amazing. It was we included elements of both. China traditionally has a lot of elements from Western stuff with the white dresses and stuff. Anyway, I guess. But it was good. It was pretty awesome. You can go back on my channel, and I've put one of my wedding videos up. An edit they put up for it.
Yes, everyone go check that out. And while you're there, subscribe to Alex and subscribe to Miriam. Great channels. That's super interesting hearing about the differences in weddings and funerals, and how are the local festivals like? Are there in a village? Have you found, Miriam, that there are more local festivals? Because I know when I've been living in Beijing and in Shanghai, you celebrate the big ones like the Duanwujie, the Spring Festival, the Mid-Autumn Festival. Are there more kind of local festivals going on in a smaller village?
I don't think so. I think the festivals that we celebrate are also celebrated in other places, perhaps not the same way or not as much. Like the Dragon Boat Festival here has nothing to do with dragon boats. Like there are no dragon boats here. And I know the last day of Chinese New Year, they have quite a special tradition that I don't think is anywhere else in Shanghai, where they jump over fire. So we light like little haystacks. We put little haystacks along the street, and then everybody just has to run and jump over them, like all the neighbors together.
That's so cool.
And just kind of, they have their own take on the festivals.
We had like a fire thing. We had like a fire thing you had to go over at one point.
Yeah?
Yeah, but just me and my wife. Like not everybody.
For the Spring Festival or for what festival?
Oh no, for getting married, not for spring. Not for Spring Festival.
Oh wow.
They kind of lit some kind of things on the floor, and then kind of jumped. You didn't jump over it; you kind of just walked past it. I guess it was like you're
so
in the
many little fun elements, and from what I've learned from talking with people, it seems that weddings and I guess funerals would fall into this category as well. It just vary completely depending on where you are, whether you're north or south or this village to this village. I guess it's just so depends on where you are. And you go to a wedding in Fujian province and it may be completely different to a wedding you go to one day in the northeast of China, which I find fascinating. And I hope more people continue to invite me to their weddings in China. I'm very disappointed that you guys are already married because
so we didn't know each other before.
Yeah, damn it. I would have definitely made a trip to Qinghai to see that. But there has been a bit of a talk in the chat here, and this is the question that everyone wants to know about. What's it like, guys? City versus village when it comes to the toilet situation. Okay, my favorite video of on Miriam's channel is the video where she explained the toilet situation in Qinghai. And if you haven't already seen this video, it's like the best content out there on YouTube at the moment, like one of the best content. And so can you guys walk us through? Miriam, we'll start with you. What's the toilet situation like in a smaller village? You don't have to leave out any details. We want the hard details.
So we have our house and a little yard, and kind of at the opposite side of the house is a tiny little house, which is our toilet. So it's a square hole about the size. And that's where we do what we need to do, basically. And its use, like what I like about it, from like a sustainability point of view, is that it's kind of composted and reused as fertilizer in the fields. So nothing's wasted. It's not just flushed away, which I think is pretty cool. So I try to find all the positives.
I like that idea is pretty good.
Yeah. And another thing that you mentioned to us when we were chatting the other day is how you can watch the stars.
Like that's the thing. Like it can be quite annoying when you wake up in the middle of the night and you need to go out to the bathroom because you need to get dressed, you need to put on your shoes, you need to go outside. But that makes it up because usually when it's dark, you just stay inside. But because here, especially in the summer, the sun sets very late, so usually you're not really out after the sun sets. But if you go to the bathroom, you have to go out so you can sit. Like we have a little door in our toilet with a window, and then there's a second window as well, so you can literally sit, do your business, and look at the stars, which is pretty fantastic.
That's a good pro.
But do you have to go out?
Huh?
I mean, you said you have to get dressed. I mean, but do you? I mean, you're in the countryside, right? Is there anybody to see if you just didn't?
But there are people, like in the countryside, people here, it's very different from the west, the western countryside, because all the houses are in the middle. So like where our yard ends, another yard begins. They're just walls, brick walls. So they're actually people with higher houses than the walls with windows. So you would rather get dressed, when you go out.
Maybe you could just put a pipe across.
A pipe?
From a window. Like from the upstairs window.
A pipe! Oh!
It's like MacGyver, we've all seen that, right? It's
just get a series of straws. Just put all the straws together.
I'll see what my husband says about that.
Oh my gosh.
I think we've already gone too far.
That's hilarious. Well, Alex, we'll move on to you. For people who may not have been to China before and haven't visited like a Chinese city, can you explain to us what the toilet situation is like in a typical Chinese city?
I mean, it varies. Like, there's a lot of people that always say, "Oh, it's so terrible for the toilets here." It's not really. It can be. If it depends where you go. If you go to like where I work in like an older sort of commercial shopping center, and it is. If you go to the public toilet areas, it's kind of Fausty. I wouldn't ever really want to use them if I didn't have to, but. A lot of schools and stuff will have their own toilet facilities, which are great. Like my school's toilet facilities, thankfully, are amazing. All homes will have Western style toilets, and you'll get a kind of mix. Sometimes you'll find like the high end, like like the mixy malls and this kind of stuff have fantastic toilets that are really well serviced, and sometimes you'll find that you have the ones where we go into the countryside around here, or sometimes in like different parts of the city where it's basically like a trough and there's no door and it's like a waist height wall. You can almost high five for people that are outside. I guess you just China kind of makes you a lot more brave and a
Yeah.
lot less interested in like things that you maybe feel a little bit prudish about before. After a while, you're like, nah, it's okay. It's all
I
good.
couldn't
I feel
agree
like
more.
when you travel here in rural Shanghai, like the public toilets along the street are usually, like you said, a house and then just kind of tiny little walls dividing it up.
Yeah.
But I've been in Beijing too. In one of the hutongs, I was going to the
Yeah.
bathroom, and there were no walls. There were just a little, like a long, what do you call, a sewers,
Trough.
and you were just
Yeah.
supposed to sit there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
The one thing
Yeah.
the one thing I found about the toilets, which is really this is kind of funny, is that in England, like an entrance to a toilet would be kind of like, you know, they made like an S curve so that you wouldn't so that somebody walking past outside couldn't see you. But here, there will literally be the urinals, the door, and then people just like flowing past, and you're like, you can literally just talk with the other women while they're queuing for the toilet. It's privacy sometimes isn't like the main priority of the toilet.
And I guess
No.
being a foreigner, you're probably getting a few looks as well. Like, it's not just, oh, there's a guy peeing. It's, oh, look, there's a white guy peeing.
Yeah. There's a great meme with all empty toilets, and then, you know, like the one foreign guy that's here, and then a Chinese person next to him saying, "Oh, where are you from?"
That's so awkward. Like, when I've been traveling in more rural areas, sometimes I'll come across those toilets that are just a big room, a couple of troughs on each side of the room, and maybe like a courtesy little barrier, but the barrier will come up to your shoulder. So you're really just like, hey, how you going? What's up? And you kind of learn quickly to just like do your business. It doesn't matter. Everyone's the same.
I always take the one in the far end. That's what I do. At least, so at least like maximum have one neighbor.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea. Yeah, you get a huge variety of toilets, and
yeah, that's the thing, like the variety, because you can find really nice luxurious toilets here, and you can find like extremely basic ones.
Yeah. Well, I think we've exhausted the topic of toilets, or is there anything you'd like to add on the topic of toilets before we move on to our next topic?
No,
I think
okay. Well, I want to talk about housing because I guess one of the biggest differences between living in a city versus a village is that in a village, you're probably going to have a lot more space. You might be living in a house compared to in a city where, unless you are extremely over the top rich, you're going to be living in an apartment. So how has that been? Like, what can you explain? Like, what you're living in Qinghai there, Miriam? What's your living situation?
We live in a house, and like land here, you can't buy land, so you can't, like, you don't buy a house. You have land that's passed down within your family. So this land is my parents-in-law's land, and the house is a house that they built. I have no idea though about prices, how much it costs to build a house, but they build it themselves and with the help of neighbors and family. And it's a pretty big house, and it's not really utilized at all, especially not now that my parents-in-law are not living in this house. So it's we have 3 bedrooms at the bottom floor, a kitchen and a living room. Top floor we have 2 bedrooms, quite a big like hallway, and another living room. But we are almost never on the top floor. It's usually if we have guests coming and staying, we stay on the top floor. But yeah, it's space, a lot of space, like I said, compared to the city. And there's nothing like rent. It's cheap to live here, for sure.
Oh, actually, can I ask you while we're on the topic, like, I guess living in a village would cost significantly less than living in a city.
I lived in Shanxi, in a small town, about 10 to 15,000 people. We lived in an apartment, and that's also a huge difference from Beijing and Shanghai. Like we paid 8,800 for 1 year for a 3-bedroom apartment with living room and a nice kitchen.
Did you say 800 for 1 year?
8,800. So almost 9,000 for a year.
Still very cheap.
Less than 1,000. Yeah, still less than 1,000 RMB a month.
Yeah, that's
and
really
I mean,
cheap.
that's less what a lot of people I know pay per month in Beijing. So it's a big difference where you live.
Yeah. Oh, that's super interesting. Alex, how does Miriam's situation compare to what you're living in at the moment? So, firstly, how many people are you living with at the moment? Like, how many in your household?
Oh, just me, my wife, and my two sons.
Oh,
My
I thought
wife's
that maybe
parents
the
live.
in-laws were with you as
No.
well.
They have
Okay.
a super big house. If you look back in my earlier videos, I did like a tour around it. It's on spread across 2 floors, so it's almost like a house but in the
Oh,
sky.
nice. Oh,
It
cool.
has this big balcony. It's kind of old, but I guess it's like 500 square meters, which is
That's
for an
Wow.
huge.
apartment. It's pretty big. Like
Yeah.
that's why like when we initially I came here, I worked for like a kind of a primary school, and we had
Mhm.
housing on site. And then when we got married, my wife kind of moved in with me there because it was kind of convenient. It was nice, like it was good
Yeah.
quality apartment on site. When she got pregnant, we moved back. We moved in with her parents because they had this big house, so we lived there for 2.5 years, which was really
Yeah.
cool because in a house that size, I think if you were all crammed together, it would be super hard because you'd always be in
Yeah.
each other's faces. But like we had basically an apartment within an apartment upstairs, and then they had like their own space, and then we had the big communal space downstairs because we used to have like here every time it's a festival,
Ah,
you have people round. I think
Yeah.
yeah.
this is one thing I'd like to add was that I think having a Chinese family kind of opens another door which a lot of other people don't see, because you see into these
Yeah.
the secret behind the scenes kind of thing. You get like this behind the scenes experience of Chinese life, because there's a lot of festivals, so we'd have a lot of people around, and it was nice. I used to at one point I had private classes from the house, and I had my own area where I could just teach and have like a bunch of students around and have like a classroom set up, which was cool. But then we moved into our own house because I bought this place in 2014, I think. And
Mm.
it's strange because in China you buy and then they build. I
Okay.
Oh,
bought with yeah, if you want, if you got a few minutes, the
Yeah,
whole
please. I'd
buying a
love to
house
know.
experience, the buying a house
Yeah.
experience in China is insane. It's just nothing like the UK. It's like the UK seems so serene compared to buying it here, because I guess because there's so many people that want to buy the houses, they have to make a fair way of doing it. So what we had to do was I had to give them 100K RMB to buy a ticket into the event. Right? If you don't buy a house, they just give you it back. It's like I guess it weeds out people that are not serious about it. So then
Mm.
you can buy as many tickets as you want. I was okay with one. I didn't want to buy anymore. And then they take your ticket number, and after a while, they put you in this huge like exhibition center. And then there's rows and rows and rows of people, and all of a sudden the screen starts like cycling through numbers, and it'll just stop on one number. And if it's you and it's got your name and your number, you can go through to the next stage, which then the next stage through is like where you can say, I want this house. And then they take it out of being able to be purchased, and
Yeah.
you pay another, I think I had to pay 39% of the total house value there and then it was mine. That was it bought.
wow.
Didn't get to move in at that point, but that was their bought. But you literally, when people's numbers were up, I think we took half an hour until our number came up. We actually got the exact house we'd wanted and selected because
Oh, that's
I don't know,
nice.
it's pure luck. But it was mad because you would see people, their number would come up and they would just sprint like an American football player, and they'd just be like, bam, out the way, bam, out the way, like shoving each other out the way, jumping over people, jumping over fences. It felt like a Royal Rumble in like the WWE to try and buy the house. But then we got the house and
God.
paid for it. But then we still waited, I guess, a year and a half until we were able to go legally into the house. I mean, we sneaked
Yeah.
into the property via some, like sneaking into a building site type thing you do when you're a child. But it was about a year and a half after until it was completed, and we had not the keys because there's no keys. It's just all fingerprint stuff. But you were allowed to go in there. And then because in China, I think building materials are much less regulated. You usually air it out for at least another year. So we left it for at least 8 months, 9 months while we got everything. Because the weird thing when you buy, if nobody doesn't know, my English is terrible today. If you don't know, when you buy a house in China, it's usually just a concrete box with no electricity installed, no anything, no plastered walls. It's just a barren concrete box, and then you do everything. Luckily, I bought with a housing company called Wanke, which is one of China's biggest, and they said for 1 RMB, we'll do all of the decoration for you.
For what? 1 RMB? How?
1 RMB, yeah. Because they're a massive company, and they kind of included all the bathrooms were done, the floors were all done, the plastering was all done, it was painted.
What a deal. 1 renminbi. I don't understand how that is possible.
They had a more expensive deal that was much, much more expensive, but what they considered was the luxury deal was basically like 1970s grandma style, and I was like, nah.
Love that.
what the 1 RMB deal was kind of just like an IKEA house. It just looks very IKEA-esque.
Yeah.
Lots of white walls and kind of wooden flooring. But we did that, and then we had to install all the AC and we installed the AC, obviously bought the furniture. Part of the wedding deal in Wenzhou is that I buy the house, they buy the cars, and pay for most of the decoration of the house. So we got all that done, but then you have to have these kind of chemical tests where they go in and they put all this fancy equipment in the room, and they check to see the levels of things like formaldehyde and other chemicals, which we're not kind of used to in the West, because I think we've stopped using things like lead-based paints and stuff. So that was kind of a little bit to get used to. But it's quite interesting to buy a house here. But when you buy it, it's really good. Like we have like ultimate security. Like they have electric fences. It's all very well, because you pay a fee for the complex, and then they have like a clubhouse with activities, and they have a swimming pool in the middle, and it's pretty
nice.
Pretty decent and pretty nicely contained. But it was interesting. I still miss living in a house though, because having I guess you guys would call it a yard, I would call it garden, is something I kind of miss. I really liked having a garden. That's the one thing I'd like to in the future kind of upsell my house, because I bought at a good time. I think my house is tripled in value at the minute, so I'm gonna try and maybe I'd like to buy a house with a garden, because it's kind of essential for life, in my opinion. Kind of I like having a garden. I like being able to just walk out the back door in bare feet and feel grass under your feet, and kind of have a barbecue, or just just have that kind of, it's nice to it's a nice thing to have, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
I've never heard about anyone buying a house. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like quite a crazy process.
It wasn't easy, because they don't usually sell houses to foreigners. So for a foreigner to buy a house kind of confused them.
Yeah.
But I did it. It was it's done. It's done and dusted. I got it.
Well done. It sounds like you got a pretty sweet deal, and 1 renminbi for all your furnishings and wooden floors. Yeah, man. Ride that wave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was also wondering, in terms of just like general living expenses, what's the cost of living like in a village? I can only imagine it's just a fraction of the price for everything, in terms of like food, expenses, bills. Like, how's your experience?
Because we produce a lot of our food ourselves, it's not very expensive. But when you buy vegetables in the village, they're a lot more expensive than when you buy them in the city, because they don't have that many, and they can take a higher price. Yeah. People only go to the local shops if they really need to buy vegetables.
I can imagine.
But then things like bread and noodles and all that, you can buy really cheaply.
So are the majority of people in your village growing their own food? Are most people there farmers?
Most people are farmers and they will grow their own crops. But
Okay.
vegetables, most people don't have a very big garden. They have a
Okay.
pretty small garden. They'll grow like a few things, but usually not enough to sustain like a family. But then a lot of people would raise their own pigs or chickens. So we have a lot of that. So people are
What's the
like if they
population?
needed
What's
to,
the
they could
population
live
of your village
like that.
again? Sorry.
I think it's about 5,000 people, but it's kind of spread out. Like we have different kind of little centers.
Okay.
But
Yeah. There's someone just asked in my side chat here, what's the population? So 5,000 for Miriam and 9.6 million for me.
And 25 million in Sydney.
Whoa,
if anyone was
capital,
interested.
Right? Capital.
I didn't know that.
Oh, wait. No, wait. No, that's the population of my country. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what the
I
population
was thinking like that's a huge city. That's like
that's
Shanghai
pretty insane.
size.
25 million.
That's definitely wrong. I'm pretty sure I just gave you the size of the population of Australia.
Does Australia have provinces?
We have states. So we have
States.
we have states.
New South Wales is one, right?
It is indeed. Do you want to name another? I'll give you a point.
I know.
Is Queensland a state or is that a city?
It
I'm
is.
not sure.
It is.
Oh,
5
keep
points.
winning at
Gryffindor.
Australian stuff.
Yes. Yeah, you guys need to come visit me when travel is back to normal.
For
I
sure.
would love to visit Australia.
I would love to as well. Yeah, that'd be great.
Has Sun ever been to the beach, Miriam?
Yes, he has when we were back in Sweden last summer, but he hasn't been for about a year now. So it's
Wow. Well, there's lots of beaches
my
here.
son loved the beaches in
Yeah.
France. He was jumping in waves was one of his absolute favorites.
Oh,
so cute.
Sansan actually didn't swim a lot. Like he was not a year yet. I think it was like 8 or 9 months when we went to Sweden last summer. So he was like, my mom took him down in the water, but he was just kind of scared.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird and big and cold. Because in Sweden, the ocean is not very warm.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold. Like regardless of what time you go in, it's cold.
Oh, here's an interesting question from one of my side chats. Stephen C asks, Miriam, without the benefit of broadband internet, would you live in rural China or anywhere rural for that matter?
That's a good question. Probably not. And I think I could not live the way I do now. Because now, even though we don't make a huge income on YouTube and our Chinese social media, it's still enough when we live in a village. But if we lived in a city, it wouldn't be enough, and we wouldn't have access to the kind of videos we want to make. But yeah, if we didn't have broadband, we would have to find other jobs, I guess.
Yeah, that's a super
or just be creative. But like
Because
right now, if I
studying,
think about it, if I didn't have internet, I could probably not live here, like economically.
Because you study the same as me, right? Do you study online the same as I do, right?
I don't study now. No, I studied when I came here.
Oh, okay.
I was studying.
What
but
did you
now,
study?
I studied at my Swedish university, and I was writing, like when I was here, I was writing a thesis. I was comparing the Chinese feminists called Miriam and a Russian-American one called Emma Goldman. Because they're very similar ideas. She's really cool, that Chinese feminist. If people don't know about her, her name is He Yin-jen, and she was active like 1907, around that time. Really great ideas and very like ahead of her time. It's really cool. But yeah, that was like, what I was doing here for about 1 semester or 1.5.
Cool.
Cool, yeah.
Well, fab. We might think about ending this chat soon. Is there anything you'd like to add or any last minute questions you'd like to address from your chats?
No. Subscribe.
Are there any questions?
Hey.
Let's see.
Yeah, subscribe to my channel.
Have a look.
If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. If you are, help me out. I've also been trying to start this because I haven't got 10k subscribers yet, so I can't use the stories function on. I keep doing this a lot today. I've just realized. The stories function isn't available to me yet, so I've started a WeChat channel. And
Cool.
Really?
if you get, I discovered if you get 100 followers, you can get verified, kind of like the unicorn you're never going to get on Instagram. So, and I'm like, I need 44 more people. So just scan.
Your WeChat.
If you go to my community tab, there's a QR code you can scan there. Just scan that. And,
Oh wow! Yeah, I'll do that.
Get me.
Yay, I'll do
Provide
it
me
too.
with
Let's
some
get
kind
Alex
of
to 100,
endorphins.
100 followers.
I'd also really like to break 5K because I had this kind of thing where my YouTube was growing like super, super fast, and then it just went doof. And
Yeah, you never know what the
Stop.
algorithm is going to do. So weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe an algorithm change. Maybe I'm just awful. I don't know.
I doubt
I
that.
think-
You're lovely.
Yeah, I think it's
Thank
just
you.
things happen like that. Like I feel like when I grow as well, sometimes I grow really fast, and then sometimes it just
Hmm.
really flat.
Yeah,
Same here.
yeah.
But I don't know why.
It's not a full-time thing for me, so I'm really not as much as I say I'd love everybody to subscribe to my channel. I only actually want people to subscribe if they genuinely watch my comment, like it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be a pleader or an ass kisser or anything like that. I just like, it's such is life. Some people will like you, some people won't, right? And if you like it, hit that like button. I don't want to say any of those cliches like smash the like button, or anything ridiculous. Or you see people that kind of like, make a big deal about begging for subscribers or money. I'm not going to do that. If you like me, please do. If you don't, no worries. I'm cool. We're not all going to be friends.
So someone's asking in my comments here about your QR code, and to get your QR code for your WeChat, you go into your community tab. So going to Alex Absolute YouTube channel.
Yeah, you have to go to my channel, and then there's like a bunch of tabs, and it's like like my videos, my home, and go to the community thing. And if you go in the community thing, there's a bunch of community posts, and it's just like the kind of like, I guess, like the WeChat moments. And I put a QR code there. It doesn't work for everybody. I think if you're international WeChat account, maybe some people say that they can access it, but a lot of people say that they can. So
try.
you
Go
can
in
just
and
scan the Q. Yeah, go in and try. If it takes all your money, thank you.
And yeah,
That's a joke. That's a joke.
There's a question here for you, Miriam. Someone wants to know, what vegetables do you have in your garden right now?
yeah, I was just gonna say that too. Like, so I'm gonna say like what we have that's ripe, because we have a lot. But what's ripe right now is broccoli and kale and white cabbage.
Oh, that's somebody from
Chinese
mine.
cabbage. Peas, beans, cucumbers, salad, beetroot, and the kind of salad stem, Chinese salad stem, like you eat the stem of the salad.
Yeah.
And then carrots. We can eat some carrots as well.
Oh, wow. You have such a nice variety.
What have you guys,
amazing.
I guess it could be to both of you, what kind of vegetables, we're on a vegetable theme, what kind of vegetables have you discovered or come to enjoy while living in China?
Lotus root.
Yes, I would agree.
No, same. For me, that was probably, I love lotus root. It's great.
It's so so unique. It's like nothing we have in the West, and it's just so versatile. It's amazing, I think, lotus root.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the same. Yeah.
Also, these things, is it okra or something? It looks
okra,
a bit like
maybe
a courgette,
the green ones.
Oh, yeah.
Okra, yeah.
I love
those. There's a lot of just different vegetables here. Like they have like the winter melon. Is it donggua? There's the summer melon. There's all sorts of different ones that they have here, which are pretty good. That's the best thing about the wet markets, and it's probably one of the most misunderstood things about a Chinese wet market. Thank you, COVID-19. But they're just fantastic places where you go and you can see like wall-to-wall vegetables and all sorts of stuff that you've never
and all the spices
seen anywhere else.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've got really into like a lot of these places we have here in Wenzhou. They're like vegan buffet places, and I'm like a full meat eater. I'd like to try. Actually, I've said to you in the past, Amy, I'd like to try doing like see if I can survive for a couple of
Yeah.
weeks or a month doing a
You'd
vegan
be
diet. Just
fine.
Like it's
Vegan is-
amazing in China, I think. Like
The thing
compared
is-
to Sweden, like the variety, like all the kind of tofu and products, like the
Although-
tofu skin and the tofu rolls.
tofu has
it's
so
amazing.
many like different
Yeah.
varieties and different incarnations, which is great. But we
Yes.
have these places here. Me and some of the guys that are in the side chat, Roman and Johnny, go to, and they're like 20 RMB, or you can eat vegan buffets, and they're pretty
Wow.
good.
So cheap.
I really want to go
Yeah.
now.
That sounds
You should.
awesome. But like, Alex,
if you guys
Give me a
come,
video.
I will take you.
it sounds awesome, but you have to be
That's
careful. If you're going to go vegan, like full on vegan, you have to watch out like what they cook. Like on the surface level, it may look vegetarian or vegan, like it's just tofu and some greens, but maybe they're frying it with animal fat. And that's one of the comments
Yeah.
I got when I did a vegetarian in China and vegan in China video. There were a lot of people being like, no, you can't just go to Hot Pot and order a hot pot and put vegetables in it, because the hot pot itself is actually made from animal fat. So if you are planning
You have
on
to
like going,
ask.
if you're going full on like to the extreme, you have to be careful of that. But vegetarian and to be, yeah, if you're a bit more of a relaxed vegetarian, so easy in China.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes we ask, sometimes we just don't want to know. Like what is private or what is like. But I think like here, even in Xining, there's an amazing vegan hot pot place that I love.
Yeah.
I know they have a restaurant in Shanghai, but we went to the one in Shanghai too. But it's just fantastic. Like it's absolutely amazing. There's so much food for vegetarians and vegans. So much variety compared to the West, I think.
I think someone knows the name of the salad stem thing, apparently called a celtus.
Yingwen?
Celtus.
Oh, Celtus. Oh, no, sorry.
I was like, Yingwen, that means English. That's a strange name.
Yeah,
for
I was
food.
like, oh.
In Chinese, it's called
That's
Wosun.
not what I meant to say.
Wosun?
There's another one called
Yeah.
Kongxing Tai, which is empty heart vegetable. It's like a kind of dark.
Love that.
It's the translation. I think the translations of a lot of Chinese stuff is some of the best things that you can just transliterate for fun. You look at a lobster. It's a dragon shrimp. You know, a turkey.
Yeah.
All my students, when I used to work at the primary school, I say, and what do English people eat at Christmas? And they'd be like, fire chickens. I wish they were called that. I wish.
Roast chickens,
'Cause
yeah.
it's
Fire
just the
chickens.
literal translation of it, but there's some amazing literal translations for Chinese, which it's heartwarming.
Love it.
But
Yeah.
empty heart vegetable, poor vegetable.
Amazing. Well,
I
on
guess
that
it was
note,
left at the altar.
oh, poor vegetable. I'm going to go look it up and give it some love. Well, it's been really lovely to chat with you guys, and I hope you have a lovely week ahead. Everyone, go make sure you're following Miriam and Alex on YouTube and on Instagram, and get Alex to his 100 people on WeChat.
Yes. Let's
And,
celebrate Alex's WeChat.
Yay. Is there anything you'd like to add, or are we good to say goodbye?
Let's do it again sometime for sure.
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
Let's do it again.
This was fun. I learned a lot.
It was fun. It was great.
Too.
It was good to hang out with you guys and just have a light-hearted conversation about some good stuff. It was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's always fun to talk to other people with China experience.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they're also different.
Yeah.
Even though we both, like all of us, are kind of China YouTubers, our experiences are also different.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool
I think,
community, very diverse.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Cool beans. Well, have a great rest of your evening and week ahead. And thank you everyone for watching and for joining us this evening. I hope it's been entertaining and fun. And yeah, we'll do it again soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.